there, my name is Rachael Messer. I'm a voice actress here with another movie saga about Susy Lu, because apparently that's what I do now. I swear I tried to make this video shorter. Apparently I make feature films now, but just really terribly low quality films. No special effects here, or maybe. I'm so sorry. If you don't know about me or about this issue, I made a video about this last week. I will link to it in the bio, as well as in the annotation above me. I don't know. We'll see if it pops up there. Maybe I just look up to the ceiling for a bit. While that video is incredibly long, without it, this video probably won't make as much sense, so I would recommend just checking that out if you have the time and the interest. I know I said I'd probably have to do a second part 2 video to Susy Lu, and well, here I am, and here we are.
To be perfectly honest, I don't know how I got here, but here I am, and here we are!
I just want to say a quick thank you to everyone who watched the last video. I was really not expecting that type of response. I was working on it for 2 days, and I kind of expected it to get about 200 views because that's what the last video got. But yeah, it went a little differently there, didn't it? Would have spent some more time editing. Another day editing it if I had at least known it was going to do that. Also, there were some comments about how the editing was very rough, and you're completely correct. The file was absolutely massive to try and edit, and to try and proof some kind of video like that is insane. And at one point I was moving audio and the audio jumped and I didn't notice, and so there's rough cuts and everything. I appreciate the feedback. I am working on getting better at editing. Didn't know I was going to make films. I thought I was making game content. What does disappoint me about the editing the most is nobody noticed my magical teleporting microphone. My name is Rachael Messer. I'm a voice actress for anime and video games.
As a magician, I can make a lot of things disappear. There are some things I can't make disappear. No, not that candy ball machine.
I mean, I worked hard. I've crafted my skills for years to teleport microphones like that. And it hurts when it goes unnoticed. Anyway, this will be my final video, my last take on the Susy Lu situation. I have spoken to Steejo, which is her boyfriend, on Twitter and Discord. I've offered them a respectful place to come in and discuss everything. So if they do take me up on that offer, I will, and that'll be the final say. But I think it's safe to assume, probably about a week now that they haven't responded, or almost a week now since they haven't responded, that they're not going to take me up on that offer. And this is just my last final section. So if you thought, Rachael, I came here for gameplay, and you're giving me drama, it's my final bit, okay? If you came for the drama, and I almost knocked my phone just right off and it's got my notes, that would have been terrible. If you came for the drama, and you would like to stay for the gameplay, I'd absolutely love to have you, but no obligations. This is not my normal content, nor do I expect you to subscribe to shit that's not my normal content. The point of this video, to clear up some questions and concerns that I've been seeing in the comments that were brought up from my previous video. Some things have changed since the video. I've also spoken with Susy Lu's boyfriend, Steejo. I've spoken with lawyers. I have spoken with Tipster. I've spoken with John Swan. And so there's a lot more that I know about the drama side of the situation. Also, sorry if you heard me bump my microphone there. I talk with my hands, and it's very terrible for... You can also hear my bird, featuring Romeo, the star of the show. But I have learned a whole bunch, learned a lot more that I would like to update you guys with as well, especially with how that video was received, how many views it got for my channel. Anyway, I know that's not a lot of views for other channels, but I do feel that I owe some info to everybody who watched it. And so I would like to use this video to address the changes that I've seen happen, changes that have happened prior, new info that I've come across, and use this to let you know about how my verdict of if Susy Lu can come back from this has changed. How I'm also not trying to get anime react channels canceled. That was that's not a thing I've been trying to do. And I'll give more details about that when we get to that section. I also want to give more details on what constitutes roughly as fair use on this, and fair use is such a huge issue that I will link to a video that kind of clarifies it a little bit better. But copyright issues and helpful advice to avoid being struck, avoid getting your channel terminated, more things like that. And there were also some things that I got wrong in the past video that I would like to address, as well as things I definitely could have been more clear about. Anyone who knows me or has been on this channel or seen my live streams, you know I'm not the best at English. I didn't make this one. Grab, 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 grab. Oh, you can't! Oh, that makes me feel better. I thought I was a piece of shit. Coastal florist. Coastal florist. There's a florist on the coast. I love it. Take signs of life. Shelter. Roll the mouse. I stop doing anything. I just start panic attack. Is that English? Yeah, it is. It is. I know. I'm a voice actor. That makes me good at English. But I will shout. I already shout you guys from the praise. I always shout you guys from the praise.
That's not a proper. No.
A sentence. Okay. G Fuel, with your sponsorship, I English so much good that good English will always sponsor you for face. And much wow will come of good sales. G Fuel sponsor, please do wow. Because it makes me feel, even if it's just for an audition or even just like a, hey, what's up with you? What do you do? I words so many words with my mouth most of the times, but sometimes my hands. That's free charge. You want hand sounds? Hand ASMR. Is this relaxing for you? And so I would like to try and clear some of this up. It would, in my opinion, be disrespectful for the amount of views I got to not clarify, to not update you, to not have more to say on the situation. It would be neglectful, and I would feel that I personally would feel bad having that information out there and not having ever clarified some things. But still, that shows that I could have been more clear about something, and so I'm going to try and do that here. I say, completely rambling through this. This is a great start, Rachel. I swear I'm focused. Also, I'm still trying to go through the comments, so I'm trying to catch up on everything, I swear, and I'm so sorry if I haven't gotten to your comment yet. I'm trying. I wasn't, I've genuinely expected that video to overall be kind of ignored. I wasn't expecting people to care about what I had to say, and I'm not expecting people to care about what I have to say in this video either, so we'll see what it does. I'm expecting it to just majorly tank. The last video I put up had 8 comments, and the newest video had 800 comments.
What's my final score?
8.
Woo!
8.
100.
What?
It's a little hard to go through all those comments because I am a very sensitive person. I like to assume that if I'm getting notes on the internet, that it's more so people wanting me to change something about my presentation to be more likable, to overall help the channel. But also there are some comments that are just not helpful at all. I'm going to keep in mind what my mom said when I got my first negative acting review of, I'm either going to have to get thicker skin or get out of the industry, because that's just how things work here. You can't make everybody happy, and if you're going to have sensitive skin, maybe the internet is not the place for you, especially as a public figure on the internet. So, thank you for the comments, be they constructive or be they positive. Everything, it meant so much, and that's why, like, you guys took the time to leave a comment. I want to take the time to read it. I also tend to value public opinion, and public opinion will have a say in this video. It will be a reoccurring theme here, so note it down in your notebooks. It's going to be important later on, okay? This will be on the test at the end of this course, okay? Are you taking notes? But I do value public opinion, as I am a gaming channel, and so my videos, I want them to light to your day. I want you to leave my videos feeling more positive than negative. Like, if you came in a bad mood, I'd rather you leave the video with a less bad mood. That's kind of my whole purpose of being on the internet and what I create. Even with this video, it's not intended to be negative. It's gonna have a whole section of how I hope to help save anime react channels. Believe it or not, I do want to try and make the world a better place with every video that I put out. And because of that, I do value public opinion, because I am putting these videos out for the public. With that, I take things to heart. I'm too sensitive a lot of the time, so I am working through the comments as best I can. Also, while this video will be more structured, it also covers a lot. It also covers a lot. So here's what I'm covering, and they're timestamps. I forgot to add that part in, but I mean, it's on the screen, so you probably can already tell. You can also watch the video all the way through. It would mean an absolute lot to me. But if you have specific, you know, if you're under a time crunch and you got specific things you want to learn about, just jump up and get around on the video, that sounds bad. Jump around on the video. I'm gonna stop talking. Disclaimer again, it's a shorter one. I still speak only for myself and my opinions are my own. I do not represent any of the anime companies, anime shows that I've been in, game companies, or games that I've been in. This is entirely my own goddamn opinion. As well as, I'm still not a lawyer, I'm still not a copyright expert, but we're gonna link to one in this video. And I would recommend that if you are somebody who wants to know more about the copyright system, I'm not the person to ask, but a lawyer that specializes in it is. And so I would recommend checking out his channel. I'll link it in the bio as well as at the end of the video. So once you watch it, you can just click on over and go see his. However, I also understand that for some reason, the last video got a lot of traction. There's a possibility that this video may get a lot of traction, and I owe it to my viewers to go ahead and summarize some of that up as it is part of this whole drama. So I'm going to summarize it. But again, if you want more details, please check out the video. And also, all of this is still allegedly. Let's go. I'm not here with all the fixes. I'm just someone who sees things from behind the scenes as well as publicly. And as much of a risk as it is, ow, I bit my tongue. As much of a risk as it is for me to say these things, I value content creators. I really do. More than a company, surprisingly. And so I'm putting my 10 years of effort, my 10 years of voice acting, my 10 years of a career, everything I have worked on for the past decade on the line to try and help these channels. So please note, no ill intent is meant by this. We'll get to how I can get blacklisted for all this later on. Woo! Fun! I did have some people say you're just defending the companies. Most companies don't like me, nor do they care if I protect them or not. The best case situation that comes out of this is they see this video and they go, oh, she's protecting anime and our copyrights. Great, good on her, and they go about their day. The other option is they see this video and they blacklist me for sharing industry things. Now, most of this stuff is already pretty public. It's just you really have to search for this info. So yeah, I don't think I'll legally get in trouble for that, but I can get blacklisted for it. There's no positive outcome for me with the companies in this situation. They're not gonna see this video and go, oh, she defended us! Let's cast her for more things. Now, that ain't gonna happen. Another thing to keep in mind with all this is anime companies are starting to upload, and some of them have been around for a bit, but they are on YouTube. They are starting to upload their own content. If you think, now that there's this issue and spotlight on all this shit, that they're not going to start looking around, and they are already looking around, as evidenced by Susy Lu's Patreon getting taken down, you may want to think differently on that. They for sure are, because it's looking like, outsider looking in, it's looking like they are. And so your channel could be next. Or your favorite channel could be next. Let's break it down. First up, Susy Lu. Firstly, thank you for taking the time to watch my video, and thank you for not striking it or flagging it. I really appreciate that. I just wanted to say thank you for that. I feel you do deserve some credit, as you did not try to censor me, and I'm also not blocked on Twitter, so I'm gonna give credit where credit is due. So about some of the things with Susy Lu. In my video, I called Susy Lu the biggest channel, and she's not. I did also specify that I could very much be wrong, that the search engine optimization on the site was some bullshit, and there could be other channels that I didn't see. However, that didn't stop people from very loudly typing at me how I was very wrong. However, I think my point does still stand, that she is one of the biggest channels, and just like with the Rice Gum Jake Paul analogy I used in the last video, Rice Gum wasn't the biggest channel that did that. In fact, Jake Paul's channel is bigger. So if Rice Gum didn't get out with that excuse, neither does Susy Lu. But I could have been more clear about this, as I brought that up, and I brought that up in detail, and I didn't go into as much detail later on, so it's easy to see how this would be skipped. That's not the main reason she's being targeted. That is not the biggest issue here. And I did a poor job explaining that in my video. I'd like to go ahead and clarify that now. While her size is a factor in her attention, what really got her focused was her attitude and her behavior and her trying to take down other channels. Those are the biggest ones. There's also the channel size and her content on it. I covered later that she was taking down videos, but I did not ever cover her attitude or her behavior, public reputation, her public representation as well. And I should have. The reason I didn't is because to me, that was straying a little bit from the anime side of things. I have a lot of opinions on this that are my own, that aren't from a voice actor's perspective, that are just from either a content creator's perspective, a person's perspective, an audience member's perspective. I shrug a lot. I don't know why. And I was worried that that would start to bleed in there, that it didn't really have to do with anime, and I left it out. But by leaving it out, it did make it seem like the biggest channel and everything was the main thing that was the focus. So I don't blame you at all for coming to that conclusion. That was entirely on me and how I presented it. Also, I'm not impartial in this situation. This does directly affect me. I'll cover this in a second. This does directly affect me. It does hurt. It hurts my feelings, but it does bothers me a bit, the whole situation. And so I'm trying to cover this as best I can, as impartial as possible, with someone who does have, in words, who does have opinions on this. And so I'm trying to leave those opinions out as best I can. It's impossible for me to be completely non-biased, but I'm trying. I also think her inability to open up to other channels, to speak with other channels, is a huge factor in kind of the damning that is going on with her channel, the damning that's going on with her public reputation. I think she needs to come out and actually talk to people. And I offer it full-heartedly that I will be respectful if she chose to come into my video and speak with me. Her lack of wanting to communicate has been a factor, and I will feature some channels in this video that have spoken about things. But when it came to, I also got in trouble for pinning Tipster's comment in my video. Tipster and the other channel in this video have been more than willing to communicate, that have been open, they have been calm, they have been willing to explain their side rationally, they have been even openly apologetic to behavior that they have displayed in some situations, and change that behavior to no longer be doing it. The thing is, and Susy Lu, I hope you're watching this video. If you are, hi. The thing is, I don't think they want to make you into a monster. I don't think people want to hate you. What they want to see is you change your behavior. They want to see a change in things. And without that, it does come across as very egotistical. Public opinion is a very real thing. And when your career depends on the public, like it does with being a YouTube creator, or a bird, I don't know if you can hear him or not. When it depends on something like that, you have to understand that on this platform, we're all just uploading videos. It's the people that watch the videos, the people that share the videos, the people that like the videos, the people that comment, the people that come back to different videos. Those are the people that make us different from anybody that's uploading. Literally, that's the difference. Now, yeah, your content has to be entertaining, no matter how great of a person you are. If you're just sitting there eating popcorn for 20 minutes, chances are people will not share and watch that video. But maybe. I don't know. But as someone whose career does depend on the public, you have to value public opinion. Hi, Lolo. Flipping off the camera and saying, bad bitches never back down, or whatever it was, is not a great look, because it also kind of doubles down on this thought that the public has. No, bad bitches may never back down or apologize, but neither do people with large egos. It would benefit you greatly as a public figure to start openly and calmly speaking with other channels about this type of thing. Most people involved don't want you to be a monster. They don't want you as a bad bitch. They want you to just learn from this and grow from this, which is still possible, though the window to do so is closing very fast. Now, let's talk about some of the people affected by this type of content. And we'll talk about the content creators that are affected by Susy Lu's actions when we get to the content creator side. Right now, let's talk about the actual creators of the show. The people that animate, the people that write, the voice actors, and I can only speak from the voice actor side of things, but I think this is some really important information that isn't public knowledge, or, well, it is public knowledge. It's just not very openly addressed. So I'm gonna do it. Some people have brought up that it'd be a shame if Susy Lu made more money than the people actually creating the show. They can guarantee you, as a voice actor, she makes more money with one video than I make as the lead in a show for 12 episodes. And that also requires me to be there for 12 weeks of work versus, 30, 40 minutes of sitting down watching a video. And even still, I can't react to the episodes. The best I could do is a channel option that does work, where I tell everybody to put on the timer and I just film me watching the video on this other screen and reacting to it, and you guys can play it on one monitor and play the episode on the other. That actually does fall under fair use and is a-okay. But I still run the risk of a company being pissed off about that. So some things that I want to address. There are some studios that pay starting rate $35 an hour. Now, $35 an hour sounds hella good, right? Until you consider that you, as a lead, may work 1 hour to 2 hours per week for 12 weeks. As somebody who's been a lead, I can promise you that in some situations, most of the time I'm recording maybe an hour. But maybe you get lucky. Maybe you get a show where it's the main character all of the time. There's no side quests. There's no side stories. It's just main character. And so maybe you do have more hours than that. The rest of this little section right now is going to be my personal opinion. So personal opinion warning. This is a me thing, not voice acting. It's personally difficult not to get bitter about something like this when at times I have endangered my life to create projects, to create video games, to create anime. And it's a little disheartening that I may get paid such a low amount in comparison to a content creator who can just watch the anime and make, $8,000 to $10,000 a month. And then you have somebody who comes along and shrinks it down into a small little box in the corner of the screen, and they react to it almost in its entirety. It shouldn't hurt. I know it shouldn't hurt, but please let me explain. So going back to the $35 an hour thing, if you're paid, let's say, you are that main character, it's only main character, you get the 2 hours per week. That's $70 per week. However, some of that goes into gas, some of that goes into tolls to get to the studio. So let's call it $60 a week. An anime season runs normally 12 episodes. That's $720 per season of if you're a show for 12 weeks. And then you have a creator who comes on and makes $8,000 per month, plus ad revenue for the videos. They probably easily made that back in ad revenue for just taking an hour out of their day to watch an anime and slightly edit it and put it up. Now, I'm not blaming any of the content creators for that. I'm not blaming Susy Lu. I'm not blaming any of the channels that do that. It's not their fault what voice actors get paid. But please, as a viewer, and maybe if you are a content creator, consider this, that we don't make as much as you think. I know some people think we make a lot and we just run off with that money and here's just somebody bitching about it, but we make under $20,000 a year. And that's including commercial and video games. So there's barely any voice actors who are able to sustain self-employment with only voice acting, especially when they live in cities like Dallas or LA. It becomes a very expensive situation. And so most voice actors do have a different job. They don't do this for the money and for the fame because nobody knows us outside of anime conventions. And even then, you got people that go, oh, I only watch subs. And hey, that's fine. I ain't hating. But then there's even the small amount of people that know voice actors. There's even a smaller amount of people that actually know the ones that are in English. So with that, I also want to bring up some things that maybe the audience, when watching anime, don't consider. The studios, at the end of the day, care about money. And with certain things like simuldubs and time crunches, it's impossible for things to be pushed back. For a while, I had some really bad health issues where I would have, to sum all this up, I would have these little pockets that would show up on certain organs. And every now and then, those pockets like to explode. And it would cause internal bleeding on wherever it had exploded on. They were normally on my intestines, and so they would just pop. And it was incredibly painful. It would make me very nauseous, very dizzy. Luckily, I only had to go to the hospital twice for it out of all the times that they happened. And I'm having significantly fewer episodes like that. They do still happen on occasion, but I'm very lucky that it tends to be kind of calming down. There was a time where I frequently had to make the choice of my career or a hospital visit. Do I put my life on the line to go to a job that I've worked 10 years to try and create? Or do I go to a doctor? And it's so ridiculous to get upset about this. But I feel like people need to know that this career is, you work so hard on it. You really, really do. And that's part of why I'm so scared of making the last video and this video is there's a good chance I'm just throwing it away. But the way the companies work is I was on the way to the studio when one of those ruptured. And I don't get the choice of pushing back that session. I could text them and say, hey, I have some major health issues. Can I come in tomorrow? And they basically respond back with, too bad, so sad, hope you feel better, you've been replaced. It's a very cutthroat industry. And I'm worried that people will hear this story and they'll emulate what I did. I don't want anybody to have to choose between their job, what they've worked for a decade, and going to the hospital and risking, internal bleeding is a serious fucking thing. If you have it, go to a goddamn doctor. I made a dumb choice. And luckily I was okay. But I don't want people to put their health at risk. And in a way, it shouldn't have to be like that. But also in a way, that's just kind of how the industry works. And they've got a line of tons of other people that would love to be actors. And so they expect you when they say jump, you jump. They expect you to do that. Because otherwise they'll say, step aside. We got plenty of other actors that would be happy to jump. Now, at a certain point, you do reach a level of popularity to where they will wait for you, to where they will do things for you, and you can call the shots. I'm not one of those people. So it is kind of hurtful to know that for $35, I endangered my life, and somebody else can make $8,000 off of that and think it's okay that the creators got paid enough. And I don't think that's on them. I think that's because a lot of creators don't speak out. I think it's because a lot of creators don't talk about that type of thing. They don't talk about it. Do you know how painful it is to try and do voice acting where you're mainly yelling and supporting things from your diaphragm, which is in your stomach, and you have internal bleeding going on in your stomach? I remember that session. The studio was spinning. I thought it was going to collapse. I was losing my breath because I was in so much pain from trying to constrict my stomach to get lines out. And it does suck. It's just I guess it's part of the industry. I guess that's what we got to deal with. But please, if you're a person that's doing these reactions, if you're a person that thinks, oh, it's just pirating anime, we don't know. Maybe if anime companies made more, they would pay the voice actors more. I don't know. I don't know their budget. I don't know a lot of those things. That's just hopeful thinking. But yeah, please don't think, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. I'm sure there's animators that have gone in, when they shouldn't have, because it became a thing of you lose your job or you come in. And so it is a little weird that the people just watching the videos can make so much more than the people that are risking their lives, that are, going out there and putting in so much effort and so much heart into everything. And I'm not saying the anime reaction channels don't put in heart to it. I'll talk about them in a little while because they clearly love what they do and they clearly have fans and they make people happy. But it does seem unfair. So that's my personal opinion. Personal opinion warning done. Sorry for the dramatics. I'm a bit dramatic. Another thing people don't seem to take into consideration is actors, we don't get things for free. Some people think you get a Funimation subscription or a Crunchyroll subscription for free. Now you got to pay for that. The animes and the games back there, most of which I had to pay for. Out of the 400 roles that I have played, I have gotten 10 copies of what I'm in, 6 of which were digital copies, which, hey, is more than they needed to do. But it meant if I wanted Borderlands 3 on my wall, I had to go buy Borderlands 3. If I wanted some of the anime back there, I had to go buy it. And if you are the lead, sometimes you'll get given a gift copy, but I've been given 3 gift copies, I believe. And then other ones you just gotta buy. And so if you got paid $35 and then you gotta go drop $60 to $80 on a DVD. Recently, I just bought the Forgotten Anne set and I had to drop $100 on that. So it's a situation where people think we voice actors get a lot of things. We end up normally spending more money than we made just getting the project. So let's move on to the next section. It's gonna be such a long video. Steejo. Steejo did reach out to me, and thank you for reaching out to me, Steejo. If you would like to continue talking over there, please feel free. After Steejo did reach out to me, and thank you for reaching out to me, Steejo. If you would like to continue talking over there, please feel free. After my initial video, Steejo messaged me on Twitter and Discord, and I really value his willing to communicate in this type of situation. So therefore, I will not say or put up any screenshots or anything of our conversation. The only things I will address that were brought up in that conversations are things that have been addressed publicly by him. Or they could be things that can be logically deduced. Ooh, big word. Big word. It's not even, sounds weird, doesn't it? Logically drawn God bless it. There are conclusions you can use logic to draw in. Conclusions you can come to from using logic. That's big brain right there. We got it. So, the first thing I want to bring up. Doxing. Susy Lu was doxed. However, Steejo and I believe Susy Lu both put out statements saying that it was The Quartering, a YouTuber called The Quartering, who doxed their information. Now later it came out that it was actually somebody else on a site called Kiwi Farms. From my understanding, it's a forum. Could be wrong. There's probably a lot more that goes into it, but I'm at 45 minutes of recording right now, so let's go with it's a forum site. However, again, we're going back to the public opinion thing. They threw out the information on Twitter publicly accusing The Quartering of doxing, but told me later on they know that The Quartering did not dox. It just happened to come out a couple hours after his video, but never issued an apology, never issued a redaction. They pulled the tweets down from my understanding, and I could be very wrong on that, but from my understanding, they deleted the tweets. But throwing that information out there into a public field, you have to throw the apology publicly, or the clarification out on a public field as well. It's not fair to the YouTube creator publicly accuse someone of that and not publicly apologize for it. That's damning to them. That's not fair because somebody's only gonna have seen that tweet and they're gonna run with it. So you have to clear the air there. That's not fair. If you brought it into public, clear it up in public. Clean it up in public. If it was an issue in private, you can solve it in private. You don't have to go public about that. But I would like to, because Susy Lu and Steejo, from my understanding, have not addressed that, I would like to clear up that The Quartering did not dox her. Now, the other thing I'd like to talk about is Steejo has claimed that they had ties with Funimation for their videos. Now, in a second, I will include a clip about DMCAs. DMCAs is something different. I will have an actual YouTuber speaking about DMCAs and how they are harder to fake. Not impossible to fake, but harder, and there's legal things involved to where it'd be real fucking dumb to do that. But there are some real fucking dumb people out there. Steejo included something, it's public as well, about him writing to Funimation about what he does. Now, I asked Steejo, look at that, I got through the word asked. God damn it, today. I didn't in the last video. I asked Steejo if he has a copy of the original email he sent, as this is an email response back, and he said he did not save it. He was going through a contact forum. The contact forum did not send it back. He did show me proof that it just said, hey, we've received your email and here's your ticket number or something like that. We'll get back to you. How long has this piece of hair been doing this? Why don't you live up here? Look at you living up here, all fluffled. What is this? This piece of hair just does not want to listen. All right, that's fine. Can it go over here? Oh, it looks so much better over here. Okay. He did show me the image, so I do believe that they probably did not send him a copy of what he sent back to him. Let's bring that screenshot up. I'm so country there. Hey Steejo, thank you for contacting Funimation support. We appreciate your business. I apologize for this delay in response to you. This may not quite be the response you expected, but there is no program such as this. Smiley face.
Smiley face.
Fuck it.
Simply, you could tell them to subscribe to our website if they are interested in a subscription of any sort. Please let us know if you have any other questions or concerns. Thank you, Funimation support. Now, let's break this down because I think what Steejo is inquiring about is a partnership, that they would view the anime and they would promote the anime website. So if it was something through Funimation, the content creators would react to the video and then say, hey, go subscribe to Funimation for more. Either they would share revenue for this or they would also just pay the content creators. We'll get to this in a second, but let's address one thing at a time here. This response isn't permission. Here we have, there doesn't seem to exist a program like this. You could just tell them to subscribe. But because we don't have the original email sent, we don't see if he's saying, hey, I do a reaction channel. This is what I do. I'm putting up a large section of your anime on my website and on my YouTube. You chill with this, Funimation? We don't have any of that. So all we can go from is that there is no program saying that they sponsor creators, I'm assuming, and that they can go subscribe, but they don't say if they give him permission to do this or not, because we don't know if he asked permission. He could have just been implying, hey, I want to cover a review of your show, which a review and a reaction are different. The review of your show, would you like to partner it? And they say no, but you can just tell them to subscribe because most of the time companies are all right with reviews. We'll get to that with copyright again. But I did talk to some of my directors at Funimation, people who have worked in this industry for over 20 years, to which they said, quote, "That's fucking bullshit," end quote. And then also, I'm gonna pull it up, make sure I give it the goddamn right quote. Quote, "Relatives of funny board members don't even get to do that." So, he continues on with, I should report these channels. And I mean, I could. But here's the thing. This could be very misconstrued. Let's give the benefit of the doubt. Let's assume here that somebody really got lost in translation versus they're just trying to edge around it. But yeah, it does not seem like there is such a program that exists, and I don't know if Funimation is aware that these channels are doing what they're doing. However, when I pointed it out to a director, I was told to report it to Funimation. This is where I can start to get in trouble, as I didn't report it to Funimation. Now, some people have. I'm hoping that, somebody was talking to me about one of these channels, and they said, well, then why don't you just go report her? And I said, because she's trying to change her content. She was just following somebody else's bad example. Should they have looked into this more in detail before they started doing this? Yeah, but I also can't blame them for thinking that this is just how things are done. So I'm not going to damn a channel that's trying their best to change up content to legal means because they were doing something that somebody else set a precedence for. That's not fair to them. Now, some people have asked, why don't we have partnerships? Think of it like this. A company, most companies, care about one thing, money. You see this with YouTube. Why share profits when you can just claim the video, when you can just claim all of the profits? It makes no sense for them to reach out to creators and say, hey, why don't you do a react video to this where you show most of the episode and all of the episodes, and we'll pay you money because people will totally want to go watch that. If I get it's kind of like, think of it like this. If you had an entire movie explained to you in depth, are you going to go want to watch that movie? Probably not. You know what happens in it.
This guy who just tells you what happens.
Now, we'll get to this with the 4 tenets of copyright. But yeah, it does not make sense for them to say that, to say, yeah, you're good. It doesn't make sense to do that. And even if they did, there are some voice actors who have a larger following on this platform. Why wouldn't they get the voice actor to do a review, to do a reaction to it? Versus somebody random who had no tie-in to it. What I'm worried about with all of this is the attention that Susy Lu has brought upon herself and what she creates. And that with her Patreon, and let's kind of segue into that, with her Patreon being canceled, somebody told me that they tried to report on Patreon and that you had to prove you were the rights holder of that content. And for her channel to be under review meant somebody said, hey, I am legal right holder of this content. And Patreon reviewed it and said, yep, seems fair, and deleted her Patreon. Now, they made a good amount of money because Patreon takes a fee from everything. They made a good amount of money from that. They're not just going to go, oh, well, any Joe Schmo said it, so I'm going to delete the Patreon because that cost them money too. So it had to be proven that the content owners saw it and claimed it. That shows that content owners are starting to look around for these things. So if you are a content creator, there is the chance that you just suddenly are next. If you look at Susy Lu and Steejo's channels, they have talked about being DMCA'd, and that's going to be covered by somebody else.
Yo, I'm John Swan, resident Susy Lu expert and copyright dude, and today we're going to be talking about false strikes. But just before we talk about Suzy and Steejo and their false strikes, I just want to kind of touch on how DMCAs are actually processed. Basically, anyone can issue a DMCA takedown through a form on YouTube's website. YouTube generally reviews the strikes before they go through, make sure they're all legitimate, it's actual information, not just John Smith, 123 West Street, whatever. Obviously, that's not legitimate information, so they won't let those go through. So I find it very interesting that Steejo is claiming that this is a copyright troll and showing this really weird name as the claimant. You would think YouTube would be able to pick that up. And even so, if this was a copyright troll, you can generally contact YouTube and say, well, look at this. This claimant is obviously not legitimate. They can make their own mind up about whether that claimant is legitimate or not. One of the rules of safe harbor is that YouTube can't determine fair use, but they are allowed to determine the legitimacy of a claimant. So they do exercise those rights, and there have been many cases of YouTube blocking strikes from coming through because they believe the claimant to be illegitimate. So in the terms of this happening to Suzy and Steejo, we won't really know. If the claimant doesn't respond with legal action to YouTube within 10 to 14 days, the strikes will automatically be removed and the ability to upload will be restored. I don't know if the anime companies will go through with the lawsuit at this stage. If they are legitimate, if they're not with the false strikers, obviously not going to go ahead with a lawsuit. At this stage, we don't really know. We'll just have to keep an eye on that space and see if anything changes. Hopefully this was helpful. Thank you for listening.
With that, they can't upload because of that. They got too many strikes from it. So, do you want your favorite content creator or your channel to be the next one that suddenly can't upload? It would be very smart for companies to allow reactors to react to the anime, similar to how they allow people to play the game. However, companies are greedy. They want all the money, so it makes sense. They're going to take all the money. All right, so that's Steejo. Let's jump into the other channels and anime react channels. Want those channels attacked or I originally left out channel names in my video because I didn't want those channels attacked or targeted because that was never my intention. And even though it's something you can tell somebody, hey, don't do this, people are still going to do what people do. So to best keep those channels safe, I tried to restrict their names as best I could. I did and still believe that these channels are doing things with good intentions. I don't think they're the bad guys. I don't think they're trying to profit off of the anime, most of them anyway. I think they're just following formats set by others. Many have even started to change their content to be more fair use. So it shows they're good people. There is something that I want to talk about. I actually feel very, very bad and guilty about. There was a channel that I represented, and I zoomed in on the Patreon link. I feel I represented the joke poorly. I did send it to a friend and say, hey, does this make sense, what I'm trying to do here? And they got it. But just because they got it doesn't mean that everyone else did. I presented it poorly. I zoomed in on her Patreon link and I played this music, which I did get struck for, actually. A good example when we get to copyright of YouTube overreacting of a 5-second clip claiming all the revenue for a YouTube video, which I'm not monetized. So have fun with that. But apparently now they can run ads on it and you guys can watch the ads. Still, I have disputed it because it is fair use in the way I used it. We got to wait for that. It's probably going to take 30 days. But I was trying to make a comedic situation of people saying, Susy Lu's the only one with the Patreon. And I was like, she's not. Here you go. But it did come across as me making fun of that channel. And for that, I sincerely apologize to her. From the bottom of my heart, that was not my intent. You seem like a very, very sweet person. Same with most of these channels. I felt genuinely terrible calling out most of these channels because they seem like such good people. It was never my intent, but I do owe you an apology, and I am very sorry. I will link her channel below. She's also started changing her content. I'll bring that up on screen. Hey guys, I wanted to let you know I will return to posting on Sunday as recommended. I've been restructuring my Patreon to better comply with fair use policies. All the reactions will be from now on cut and edited in Patreon too, with the added benefit of exclusive shows and super early reactions from a week to a month, depending on the show. I will also be doing more cuts to my reactions from now on. I'm fairly new to the YouTube industry and I have been basically implementing what I like and other people's reactions. But if someone with more knowledge in the subject of copyrights have an issue, I'll gladly implement it because a fair criticism always helps improve your content. Lastly, I wanted to add that most of us fans of anime and reactions would never want to hurt the anime industry. You can read the rest of it on her channel, but she brings up a point. She's trying to change her content. She's trying to be law-abiding. Most of these content creators are. Now, for content creators out there, I will have a section about fair use, about copyright to give more detail into it. So I've done a lot of research. I've looked up more things to save you guys the time. Again, if you want to look up more, there is absolutely more details out there, more people knowledgeable than me. I'm going to try and give this information secondhand and credit the person. And I did check with this person. They're a lawyer. I made sure to check with this person before I featured their video. But I do want to talk about that when we get there and I'll source them. But also, if that's not enough and you want to know more and you don't want your channel deleted, hey, there's lawyers out there. And if you guys do like reaction channels, please go check out her channel and give her a sub as somebody who is trying to not hurt the anime industry and change things to be more law-abiding. Also, I want to point out this channel commented as well, saying that they were completely open to the feedback that I gave, that they appreciated everything. And I do want to point out, like, I'm not after these channels. Are you kidding me? Like, look at this guy. That's the face of somebody who loves anime. He dressed up for it. That melts my heart. It really, really does. My cold heart did beat again because I was a fan of anime. And so, getting started in all this, I was a fan of anime. I understand these people. I don't think their intentions are harsh, and I've also included a link to his channel as well. I don't mean to come at these channels. I want to protect these channels because these are people that clearly care about anime, and they've built up a following doing it. It's not fair for them to suddenly be struck down overnight next week or the week after or a month after. That's not fair. So I will cover how to do things to where you can rest a little bit more about if your content is fair use or not. Let's kind of just yeah, that's all the questions and concerns that I kind of saw happening a lot. Some suggestions that I have just starting off, maybe consider just doing random episodes. You don't need to do every single episode in a show. For me, if I were going to do this, I would probably pick episode 1 and maybe episode 2 and let the audience know if I feel like I'm going to watch the rest of the show or not. And then let's say there's a really cool battle that happens in episode 8. I would cover episode 8 because then maybe somebody goes, oh, I don't want to watch it because of episode 1 and 2, but episode 8 looked fucking lit, so I'm going to go watch it. And then maybe you cover the finale and you say if you want to see a season 2 or not. You pick certain episodes. I think that would be an ideal thing. When we get to copyright, one of the 4 tenets is, does it take away from the right holder's views, content? We'll get to that. But basically, does it substitute the existing format? And yeah, to me, I get it. I get it. Like, if I watched an episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine with my friend, you know, I get wanting to watch it with the friend, wanting to see their reactions to things. But also, I'm not going to turn around and rewatch that episode on my own. There's no point. I just saw it. So yeah, some of these anime reactions, when they're covered in depth every single episode, do count as substituting the original work. And you may be one of those people that does have a subscription, but I doubt most of them do. So maybe consider covering just random episodes. Another one I've seen is the timer, where they put a timer on the side of the screen and they just say, okay, we're all going to watch it together and you can sync up my reactions with this. That's actually perfectly fine. From several lawyers that I've talked to, there seems to be no issue. So those channels, you're safe. You're good. Now let's get into some of the other comments. But I like watching the reactions. Great. I'm glad. For them cutting things down to be more specific, that's more time that can be spent on their reactions. And I will talk about how to make a good reaction channel in a little bit. And I'm not saying good as in like these ones are bad. I'm talking about good as in like it's safer from getting struck down by the law. And so if you do like just the reactions, maybe look at a content creator who's just got their reactions on screen. I know that's a lot more effort for you to have 2 different monitors going, but it puts your content creator in a safe position. And so if you really love the creator, if you really love the reactions, you want that channel to stay around. So it's safer for them to do that than put the anime in the corner of the screen. You also then get more reactions because it's just them. They don't even have to edit it. They could probably make more episodes that way. And if that were true, if you didn't come for the anime, you just came for the reactor, why do some episodes have more views than others? To me, if I like a game player, I'll watch them play any game. There may be a series where I'm like, this one's not my thing. But for the most part, I'll watch them play any series because I like the person who's creating it. And you see this with some channels. You see some channels where they got big off of one game, and when they switch to another game, the views tank. Same with Twitch streamers. That's why there's specialized channels and variety channels when it comes to gameplay. And we will cover why gameplay may or may not be fair use as well. But I like reaction channels. Again, great. But just because you like something doesn't mean YouTube won't strike it down. Let's take, for example, back in the good old days when I was in college, I used to watch a lot of AMVs, animated music videos. And I would find great songs from that, and I would find great animes from that. Now you can't use songs. Unless, sometimes it'll get restricted from countries. That dings your YouTube account as well. There's a hidden kind of algorithm of how many claims you have. And so with that, it'll ding your account, and the copyright holder may say take it down. I've talked to some AMV channels that have said, yeah, I can't upload any AMVs about this anime because the rights holder always takes it down. Or I can't include these songs. Going back to my 5-second clip, YouTube over-cracks down on everything. Example being the music industry didn't like that their music was being used and they weren't getting money from it. And now we can't even say the lyrics. Now we can't even hum a song. YouTube does that. And if you think with a lawsuit involving Susy Lu, if it comes to that, you think they won't go try and save their ass from other channels and go after these other channels? They will. And then none of us can upload any anime. We can't even make references. We can't even make jokes. We can't even make clips. It could happen. So you have to look at the entire industry as a whole and go, do I want this? just because I'm willing, I like it now, but then it'll be gone in 5 years and we'll be looking back on the days going, remember when we could put JoJo references in our videos? And now we can't. There's a huge possibility that that could happen. And we will cover why it could happen in copyright section. YouTube won't do anything, is another one I've heard. With a lawsuit, yeah, they will. YouTube has shown time and time again that they favor companies over creators. If you doubt that, go look at the trending tab most of the time, and it's gonna be some TV show that is moving its way onto YouTube, and they're promoting it over there. They've constantly favored companies over creators, and they will continue to do so because companies pay the bills. And we know for a fact that some anime companies are investigating Susy Lu. We know that they're going around claiming her content. Think about this for a second. While they have a team searching for this content to claim, there is the possibility that another channel who's uploading similar content will get claimed as well. Because they got the team ready, why wouldn't they use it to take down everybody? Despite what you may think, I don't want these channels suddenly locked up, suddenly gone, because Susy Lu got a lot of attention on her, and now the anime companies are investigating everybody, because that's could be happening. These companies handle things behind the scenes. There's absolutely no reason to believe that they're not. And then all of a sudden, your favorite channel is deleted. Is that fair to them for following Susy Lu's footsteps because they thought, oh, well, she's doing it, so it must be okay? Oh, well, these other channels are doing it, so it must be okay? No, you'll just all go down on the same ship. Also, obviously, report channels that are uploading things that are against terms of service. What I'm saying is, give some of these content creators a chance to change their content, as well as if they're not changing their content, maybe alert them to what is going on in this situation and how it can affect their channel and how it can also affect the YouTube community negatively, potentially in the future. They don't all need to be mass flagged before they've even gotten a chance to fix everything. That's all I'm saying. Of course, still report channels that are uploading things that are against terms of service. I've also seen some channels live streaming episodes and reactions on Twitch. That's also against Twitch's terms of service. Just because they're getting away with it, eventually Twitch will find those channels and you'll get struck down because you're not popular enough on Twitch to break the rules. Good old Twitch. Way to just favoritism. Favoritism is really just should be just the name of this video. Favoritism. So also, if you're live streaming this shit, no, it's still against the terms of service over there. And it's just a matter of time till you get found there too. I know that there are some A-list celebrities who have involved themselves and anonymously reported things. There's a lot going on there. And the problem is with some of this as well is Susy Lu claims she has a YouTube insider who, when her channel got deleted, she got it reinstated. Do your favorite content creators have that insider? Because they could just be deleted and gone. These companies could see it, see what's going on, and by next week, these channels are gone. It probably won't happen that fast, but there's still that probability. There's still people striking things. When something gets struck and your channel gets locked up, how many of these creators are going to have the extra money it takes to go to a lawsuit with $1 million company? Not many of them. Most of them will just have to resign themselves to go, I don't have the money to go battle a company in court, so I'm going to have to just let the channel go. Because they didn't change things fast enough. Because they didn't change things to be fair use. Again, I'm not coming at the anime channels. I don't want them deleted just as much as you don't. And that's why I'm trying to tell them, hey, please, pay attention, because you could be gone soon. I can't guarantee you are, but I can't guarantee you're not. Those who think I'm in the company's favor, it'd be dumb of me to say this shit. I could get in trouble for going out there or telling content creators, hey, change your shit up now. I do understand and respect the copyright holder's claims. I understand and respect the law. But I also understand that a content creator could be doing this without intent to break the law. They just didn't know. And it's not fair of them to be punished when they didn't know. So I'm here trying to be a shouting board of like, hey, please, don't be like Susy Lu and have your Patreon taken down and have your YouTube locked up. I literally have nothing to gain from this. The companies will not favor me in one way or the other. I either get blacklisted or I get ignored. That's the best case scenario, is getting ignored. If I didn't care about content creators, why the fuck would I be on here making these videos? Especially this follow-up video, which is mainly about content creators. You also have to keep in mind that Susy Lu is giving these other reaction channels a bad reputation, a bad representation. People are gonna look at Susy Lu and they're gonna apply that same thing to all the channels. That's not fair to them. Some of them are doing things really well. Others are trying to change things really fast. Now, Some of you guys are going to come at me like, Rachel, there's other websites that do this. I know, Kiss Anime is a thing. Funimation knows about it too. It becomes a little harder to take down a website than it does to take down a Twitter post, than it does to take down a Patreon, than it does to take down a YouTube, because YouTube and Patreon have these things built in, these factors built in, so that a company doesn't have to go to a legal battle. They can just say, hey, this is here, and YouTube will look at it and say, yep, that's yours. Take it down. Not fair use. Bye. And sometimes they will fall in your favor, but most of the time they're going to favor the companies. So these sites do exist, and there's a good chance Susy Lu's site will actually get away with it. As much as I don't want to say that. Companies could look at it and they could go, how much money is it going to cost me to sue her? And how much money is she making? How much money is she stealing from us? And they may let it slide. A whole bunch of different issues that could go on behind websites. But just because a website can get away with it doesn't mean a YouTuber can. We have to abide by YouTube's terms of service when we upload. And so it breaks terms of service so you could get your channel deleted. You could go start a website doing it. It's going to be a harder battle, and that's going to be a legal one where you don't have YouTube backing you up. But yeah, you could. But know that YouTube can totally take it down. YouTube, putting this shit on YouTube and Patreon is different than putting it on its own website. So just because there are other websites doesn't mean you can upload it to YouTube. Terms of services are different. It's my friend is the last one. I know. And I don't got issues with your friend. I'm trying to protect your friend. I don't want your friend's account suddenly frozen or deleted, because I know as somebody putting content up on YouTube, a lot of effort goes into this. A lot of time goes into this. It's not fair for it to suddenly be deleted. They probably don't have an insider in YouTube like Susy Lu does. When their accounts get deleted, there's a good chance they stay deleted. And also, the companies are now looking into things, or you're going to be, I don't want your channel gone, but I guess if you don't listen, there's a chance it could be gone. And I'm not telling you to listen to me. You don't have to. You could easily continue on. But is it worth risking that for you? As a content creator, you have to ask that question. Is it worth the gamble? Are you willing to know that every time you upload could be the time that you get struck? Could be the time you get in trouble? I guess if you're willing to gamble it, sure. I'm going to give you some options, though, of how you can change things to where it's less of a gamble. The final thing, companies handle these things behind the scenes. So please don't think because you don't see anything publicly that it's not going on. All right, final thing. Smacking the microphone. Copyright. I don't have all the answers, but I can try and guide you guys. Since for some reason I got some attention on the last video, I'm going to try and use that attention to guide you guys towards some things that might help your channels. So if they do find your video next, there's less of a chance they take it down. At any time, be it game or animation, a company can say, I don't want you doing this. I don't want you playing my game. I don't want you watching my anime. Take it down. We've kind of seen this in some situations where a game company would say, I don't want PewDiePie playing this video game, and PewDiePie would have to delete the video. I don't want streamers playing this video game, and streamers would have to delete the video because the copyright still falls under their use.
If they didn't create it entirely, holistically on their own, they are taking a derivative of some kind of somebody else's work, and they are hoping that they fall under fair use. But as we've talked about in previous videos in virtual legality, fair use isn't this panacea that people think it is, which is why I wound up tweeting out a kind of discussion item on this particular topic. I said, hey, we've certainly talked about this in virtual legality a great deal, but it's worth revisiting. Many content creators, YouTube or otherwise, skirt or vault over the line of demarcation for infringement and would have a tough and expensive time proving fair use. Right? That was my point when I did the video on Jukin Plays, Jukin Media and MXR Plays, which is they had a video where they were just looking at a volcano and they said, wow. And that was the heart of the video that they took, which Jukin Media claimed had copyright interest in. And that didn't look to me like it fell under fair use. When we talk about video game streaming, absent some kind of permissive license that allows you to publicly display or otherwise create derivative works, or maybe even expressly talks about YouTube or Twitch or streaming in general, absent that kind of concept, you are very likely automatically infringing on that intellectual property holder's rights. And if you don't fall within fair use, if you aren't adding something like transformative commentary, then you've got a significant problem because you only exist, especially if you make your livelihood at this process, you only exist at the largesse of the intellectual property holder. As I say in my next tweet, That puts their content in a legal gray area where it basically survives at the largesse of the IP holder. If there is other history between the content creator and the IP holder, or if the IP holder otherwise thinks of the content as negative, this is the natural result. And if you're not familiar with the term largesse, I love this word. I've pulled up the Merriam-Webster definition here. It says, liberal giving, this isn't a political statement, this is a lot of giving, as of money to or as if to an inferior / generosity. It essentially means by your leave, right? If you are operating at the largesse of someone else, it's because they have given you permission or tacit acceptance for that activity, that they are the noble and you are the serf, and you are on their land and you are allowed to do what you do because they have not decided to throw you in prison. They have not decided to bring a copyright claim against you for the reasons that we've talked about. And if you aren't disparaging them, then you don't have a problem. But if we take someone like Kurt0411, and if he is this rambunctious personality, he goes out there and he says, hey, I don't like what you're doing, EA, and maybe he personally attacks people. Maybe he does something that EA really hates. Maybe there's some kind of really rubs Electronic Arts the wrong way. Then Electronic Arts can bring this hammer down and is probably legally within their ability to do so because they are basically just allowing all these infringements until somebody is acting negatively against their intellectual property. And what I want to follow up with on that concept is this last tweet that I made, which says, much is made in certain corners of the internet of the media selling out for access. But the nature of copyright and fair use makes that concept potentially an even larger issue for folks like YouTubers making a living on other people's IP. Said another way, when we talk about things like the age of the influencer and streamers on Twitch or on YouTube or anywhere else you might find them doing gaming or talking about really a lot of other things, you think about folks like maybe Red Letter Media who uses trailer footage to talk about movies, often disparagingly. And you see these movie studios sometimes come after them, and they're big enough to generally fight them off. But that these movie studios say, hey, that's our imagery, that's our sound effects, that's even the trailer that we put together is something valuable to us, so we are going to penalize you or we're going to make your life difficult. But I wanted to use it as a jumping off point for a discussion of these topics. Because as the Copyright Act says, absent some other license, some other permission given to you by a copyright holder, if I made a video game, you don't necessarily have the right to prepare derivatives of that video game or to perform that video game publicly. We have to have given you permission in a different context. And you might say, Rick, I've watched a lot of YouTube. There are a lot of YouTubers that say I could fall under fair use. And what I would recommend is if you're really interested in an in-depth discussion of fair use, that you go and check out some of my other videos that talk about fair use with more specificity, especially the MXR Plays and Jukin Media videos. Those are well received and I recommend checking them out. But for the most part, fair use is a concept that says, if you use this other person's intellectual property in a specific way, it's not copyright infringement. And we've pulled up the language here, but it basically says, notwithstanding those exclusive rights we just talked about, the fair use of a copyrighted work, including reproduction, or by any other means outside of phonorecords for that purpose, for purposes such as criticism, comment, news, teaching, scholarship, or research, it is not infringement of copyright. And you say, hey, these guys that do Let's Plays or that open up packs of FIFA 20, they're commenting on these things. They're regularly talking. And even then, it's not as bad as what Jukin Media did on that one video that you analyzed where they just looked at a volcano and said, wow, they're talking a lot more and they're adding something to the process. I think it might be transformative. You'll see that word a lot. But ultimately, it's a balancing test. And as we've talked about in previous videos, balancing tests are the devil for trying to prove something in court. You can think you're absolutely in the right, but ultimately it's going to come down to a judge's decision. And if Electronic Arts wants to bring a copyright strike against you and your YouTube channel, which can end your livelihood pretty quickly, that's going to be trouble. Because if you want to fight that and EA wants to push it a little bit more, they can take you to court. And chances are they are going to get past a summary dismissal, kind of the easy, cheap way out of court. They're going to get past that because on its face, streaming their copyrighted information, streaming their video game, is probably violative of whatever their contract says, which, hey, we're going to look at. I can tell you that it is violative of that contract. And they reserve the right to kind of say, hey, we mostly allow this, but we won't allow it if we don't like it. And then you have to go as an affirmative defense to that infringement and say, no, it's fair use. No, it was transformative. hey, the fact that you put ads on it, that's going to speak against you because you made some money on it. Whether or not it relates to a fictional or real work, gaming is going to be fictional. That's going to be a problem as well. How much you used of it. If you're just streaming the entire product, that's going to be a problem for you. And the effect of the use upon the potential market.
Will you look at that? It's your least favorite person in the world, editing Rachael. I think I only appear once in this video, so I better make it fucking count. I sent a video to a lawyer, Susy Lu's videos, about the reactions, and I asked if it would fall under the 4 uses of fair use, and this was the response back I got. Okay, so as you know, fair use is a balancing test based on specific facts and circumstances. So any given judge/authority might look at things differently. With that out of the way, I see the following. Intro is fine, just her. General content appears to be episode in the corner with reactions, end quote. So we look at the 4 factors. Nature of use. Nature of use didn't rise to the level of critique that I could see. Oh no, and whatnot isn't enough. She's profiting off it, so it's commercial. Worth noting that the Patreon unedited sounds like it would be even worse here. Factor 1, leans towards copyright holder. Factor 2, nature of work. It's creative, intended to be sold, leans toward copyright holder. Factor 3, substantiality. If it's the whole episode or even just big parts, this also goes to the copyright owner. And the copyright holder in this situation would be the anime company. Factor 4, effect on market. If you can get most of the big plot points and performances/art with her in silence, I don't think the edit necessarily saves her here. It's not as strong as the other factors, but my best guess is that this factor leans towards the copyright holder. I would suspect any unedited watch, such as on Patreon, would lean towards the copyright holder more. So my best read here is that she loses every factor, though there is space to argue on things like value of critique in Factor 1 and effect on market in Factor 4. And he would also like me to state that all of this is subjective to the court, and this is just his opinion based off of his experience with things. He may also cover a video on Susy Lu later. I can't guarantee it, but I promise you he's got videos up already that cover a lot of this type of thing. So if you want to learn more about copyright content and what would maybe be deemed as fair use and whatnot, please check out his channel in the video description below. I'll also link it at the end of this video. But he does way better at explaining it, so please check out his video if you're interested in more. But what's likely for a company to leave it up? They can take it down at any time. They're likely going to leave it up if they think it's profitable, if it kind of comes across as an ad. Now, there are channels who do this really, really well. JonTron and PewDiePie are 2 great examples of this. PewDiePie, with his room review, doesn't give away the ending to the room. He tells people at the start and at the end that he wants them to watch and support the creator. He uses clips, but then it's mainly jokes throughout it.
The Room. My favorite movie of all time is The Room, by the man, the myth, the legend, Tommy Wiseau. I can watch this movie infinite amount of times. I never get tired of it because every time you watch it, you find more shit that's wrong with it. I mean, you find more Easter eggs. I want this video to just convert you to go and watch this film. I'm gonna link it down below. Now, there's so much more that I can point out, and I love this movie so much, but I want you to enjoy it as well. So I highly recommend that you watch it. I'll link to Tommy's website and to where you can buy the film and watch it yourself. I highly recommend it. Intrigued by this video, I highly recommend that you check it out.
Same with JonTron. JonTron will do 1 episode of Real Haunting. He'll do movie reviews, but his Dark Dungeons review is mainly him explaining the plot versus actually showing the footage.
We don't have to kill him, do we?
No, you could show mercy to your enemy, and all it would cost would be your gold and your weapons.
From my cold, dead, gauntlet dastardly witch!
What is this shit? So the girls go home and sit on their beds, dreaming about the fun they had earlier in the night. All the while, the Dark Council schemes about their upcoming sacrifice.
He'll put things in, he'll put creative edits in, he will change things up, he'll use things normally to make a joke. Rarely is there a line used that he doesn't use to make a joke. They do happen on occasion, but for most part, if a line's included, he's making a joke out of it. And some of these companies will love that. A great example is JonTron's Flex Tape. that video was so favored by the company because it got them meme status, it got them attention, it got them so many views that they even sponsored the next video. So some companies can really love it, but there was nothing stopping Flex Seal from saying, hey, we hate this, take it down. That would have been in their legal right. So when you're going to create these channels, please look at the channels that have millions of subscribers because they probably know what they're doing when it comes to reviews and when it comes to reactions. And JonTron and PewDiePie do have reactions. They're included throughout it. You can still have a reaction channel that's mixed with review and falls under fair use. Versus playing most of the episode or even a large section of the episode. You could just stop, explain what happens, and then go on to your next reaction. But keep in mind your reactions as well. To me, and this is something covered in the video, smiling and saying that's funny doesn't count as a reaction enough to include it. In fact, it's gotten game players struck as well. Now I have a link here. I'm going to put in the chat as well. The 4 factors of fair use. I've probably been saying tenets. The 4 factors judged in fair use are the purpose and character of your work, the nature of the copyrighted work, the amount and substantiality of the portion taken, and the effect and use upon the potential market. I keep smacking the microphone. I'm going to link this. Please check it out before you drop a comment saying, oh, this is fair use or this isn't fair use. Please research it. If you're a content creator, please research it to make sure that you're following these rules. Copyright and fair use, we're still kind of up in the air of what will be favored and what won't. But try and structure your videos, your reactions, to be more like JonTron and PewDiePie and more creative, more engaging, more entertaining, bigger. I know that takes a lot more effort. I know that takes a lot more time, but it's safer than just risking it to say, wow, or ha, or oh my gosh, I can't believe they did that. We've already proven that a company can say, hey, that doesn't count as transformative. I want it gone. Always try and honor the right holders, and you'll normally be good. If they see it, and that's why doing certain episodes would be more of a promotional type of thing than replacing the existing work, because you didn't show all the episodes, so you didn't replace it. People who did like that storyline are still going to have to go check it out. And I don't mean just do the same reactions you've been doing and now say, hey guys, if you want to watch the episode, go to Funimation or go to crunchyroll.com. I'm not saying do that. I'm saying make sure, if somebody watched your creation, your video, is it going to be where they want to go watch that video right now? Because I know when I saw The Room review, I wanted to go see The Room. I know when I saw his newest Goop video, I want to now watch that Netflix series. He covers every episode in the Netflix series, but it's so quick and it's so humorous and it's so outlandish that I need to know. I need to know what goes on there. But if he'd gone through every single episode, only cutting out sections, it wouldn't have been entertaining and it wouldn't have made me want to go watch it. The last thing I want to cover before the end of this is something that I got completely wrong, and this is a serious topic. This was very, very serious in my video. So please forgive the tone change, but I feel it's required because this is a big deal. In my original video, I said something that was just completely false. It was. I said that the Sailor Moon dub in the 90s was done by 4 kids, and that's just false. I thought of terrible, terrible, terrible censorship, and that's who I thought of. But I was wrong, and I mean, all I can do from here on out is say I'm sorry. And I hope that you forgive me in time. I know that this is a big wound, and it'll take a lot of time to heal. But I'm here if you're willing to give me a second chance. I will do better. I can't say I'm sorry. And I'll try and do better in the future. Thank you for your understanding. Also, anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. It's been a long one. Again, I do have, now that we've hit 3,000 subscribers, I have a cosplay stream coming up, as well as I will put the video edited down onto YouTube of me playing Tomb Raider dressed as Lara Croft. I have the outfit, I have cosplayed her before, so I will be doing that, as well as the accent and the voice and everything. We'll see how that goes. It's my first time at role-playing live streaming. I also, on Friday, am doing a Q&A. I call it coffee and chat time. If you have any questions, they can be about the Susy Lu thing, more about my personal opinions of it. They could be about how to get into voice acting. They could be just random questions like, why did you choose green for your hair? And also, how many cats and dogs do you have? Because the dogs have been in several videos. So if you have just random questions or anything, please use the hashtag coffee in the chat so that I can search for it easier. And I'll try and get to one of your questions on Friday. Thank you guys for your time, for your patience in watching through all of this. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the views on the last video. I don't feel I deserved it, but it means the world that you would be willing to give it a chance, and especially for the nearly 2,000 of you that subscribed from that. I promise to disappoint you with mediocre gameplay at best, and in the future, tomorrow I have a Temtem video going out. I hope you check that out as well. Thank you guys. If you want to join the Discord, I'll put the link in the bio as well. I have a Patreon if you want to help support the channel, but times are crazy right now. Please take care of yourself first. Please leave a like, a comment, and you can subscribe if you fucking feel like it. If you don't fucking feel like it, have an amazing day. If you do fucking feel like it, have an amazing day as well. Have an amazing day all around. Bye, guys. Thank you guys. I appreciate it, and I'll see you hopefully in tomorrow's video. Bye, guys. When you can just claim all of the profits. Profits? Oh.